Okay, today we're going to be talking about the beginning of World War I from the reading 29.1 of the online textbook. A reminder, you can access that textbook by going to, right here is the page, Marching Toward War. It's on the Coach Cisneros website. Very easy to find. All you have to do is Google Coach Cisneros and then scroll on down and you can find that. Now, standard caveat, I would say it would make more sense to read first and then listen to this lecture. I will also post my notes that I took from this reading on the website where you found this video. It'll be right next to it. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so when last we talked, the Congress of Vienna had met and they had focused on creating a balance of power that would prevent any other wars like the Napoleonic Wars that had just happened. The Congress of Vienna met in 1815. Now, the Congress of Vienna, although it did not do everything great, it was able to create about 100 years of peace. There's a couple minor conflicts here or there. If you'd like to know more about that, you should take AP Euro. But by the late 1800s, 1900s, the peace is in danger. Tensions are growing between the great European powers and rivalries, tensions, all these things are escalating. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the four underlying causes that the reading talks about for the war breaking out. And the first one is going to be a sense of militarism that we will see when we look at this particular website right here. So here is a political cartoon. This was published in 1908. It is from a British magazine. And the man on the left is the German Kaiser. His name is Kaiser Wilhelm II. And the man on the right is a representation of England. Now, an example of militarism, which is where European nations glorify military strength and build up huge armies, we can see that here in this political cartoon. They are talking about the naval arms race that is going on between the two nations. Germany has begun to build what are known as dreadnoughts, big battleships, huge gunboats, and they are challenging Britain's naval supremacy. And so the Kaiser says, I go 3 dreadnoughts. And John Bull, which is England, says, well, just to show there's no ill feeling, I raise you 3. Germany begins to build up its naval strength. Britain takes this as a threat, and they build up their naval strength as well. This is happening all over Europe. There are conscription laws, which is a fancy way of saying mandatory military service, a draft. There are million-man armies. There are elaborate war plans. Everyone is gearing up and openly building up their military strength. Okay, so that is cause number 1, militarism. The second underlying cause that will lead to the war is a system of alliances. Now, this is a bit ironic because alliances are supposed to prevent war from breaking out. They are supposed to be a deterrence. But if war does break out, it can drag everyone into the war. There are 2 major alliances in Europe at this time. You can see them here, although this map doesn't say Triple Alliance. That is the name of the alliance for one of them. So the traditional green color is the Triple Entente. Entente is a French word that just means alliance, friendship. The members of the Triple Entente are England, France, and Russia. And then there is the Triple Alliance, and that is made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These are defensive agreements. If any of these nations are attacked, their allies will come and defend them. So if something causes the war to start, this alliance system will click in and it will drag other nations to war as well. All right. The third underlying cause, something we just got done talking about, imperialism. The desire for colonies that European nations had often led to jealousy and rivalry and conflict. There's really not much we need to talk about that. And then finally, we are going to talk about nationalism. All right. So nationalism is going to be the most important cause that leads to the outbreak of war. just on its surface, we could talk about the great rivalry between the European powers. Everyone wanted to be the most powerful, the big dog, if you will. And so certainly that is going to lead to increasing tensions. But this area right here, where you see the words Bulgaria and Romania and Bosnia-Herzegovina, is going to be a center of great nationalist turmoil. Now, this territory is known as the Balkans. The Balkans, up until the 1800s, had been ruled over by the Ottoman Empire. You should remember the Ottoman Empire. They were a powerful Muslim empire that controlled the Eastern Mediterranean and provided lots of order and control in those territories. They are Muslim Turks ruling over non-Muslim Turk populations. In the case of the Balkans, they are Slavic peoples who practice Orthodox Christianity. In the 1800s, though, as you can see from this map, the Ottoman Empire is losing the ability to control these territories, and they are declaring their independence. One of the nations that declares their independence is the nation of Serbia. Serbia is a Slavic nation, and they are going to see themselves as the leader of Slavic nationalism. Now, Serbia has a strong ally in Russia. Russia is also a Slavic nation, and they feel that they are the big brother to Serbia. However, there is a problem with this growing Slavic nationalism. The major power in this area of Europe is, hold on a second, I have to switch. Oh, I'm back. All right, I have to switch maps. Give me 1 second. Working out the kinks here. Screen. All right. There we go. The major power here is the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Now, the Austro-Hungarian Empire is this big, huge empire ruled over by Austria. It's been there for a number of centuries, and it is German-speaking people that rule over this empire. However, there are many different nationalist groups who live in here, and they all want their own nations, but the Austro-Hungarian Empire will not allow that to take place. Just looking at this map, we can see that there are Hungarians, Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Ukrainians, Slovenes, Croats, Serbs, notice that, Romanians, Italians, a whole bunch of others. It is a veritable potpourri of people, right? And the Austrians are going to basically say, nation states don't exist based on national identity. They exist because there are legal treaties that set them up, and basically the status quo is the way things are supposed to be. So anytime there's a rise in nationalism, the Austro-Hungarian Empire gets very nervous about this. So that is going to create great tension in the Balkans. The Serbs are going to want to control more land and take land away from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The Austro-Hungarian Empire obviously is going to be opposed to that. And the Serbs have a powerful ally in Russia who share the feelings of Slavic nationalism. If none of this makes sense to you, it's okay. It's a little complicated. You can ask me questions in the comments below, and I'll try to further explain. You can also email me, jeffrey.naughton@cfisd.net. Okay. This leads us to the immediate outbreak of the war and the last thing that we're going to talk about today, and that is the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. So Franz Ferdinand is the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and the current emperor is basically on his deathbed. So he is very soon going to take over. He goes to the city of Sarajevo. If you look at this map I have up, it's in the Bosnian section, which I guess is like a mustard brown, like a Dwight Schrute colored shirt. He goes to Sarajevo. In Sarajevo, he will be assassinated by Serbian nationalists / terrorists, however you want to look at the situation. And the Austro-Hungarian Empire will claim that this was a conspiracy that was aided by the Serbian government. So basically, the heir to the throne of a powerful European nation is murdered by a nationalist from another group. The country whose leader was killed demands a bunch of conditions to make this right. And eventually it leads to the declaration of war. Austria-Hungary will say that they are declaring war on Serbia. They have the support of their German allies, and Serbia has the support of Russia. And so the assassination of one man in 1914 leads to the declaration of war between Austria-Hungary and Serbia, but that drags in other groups. Germany will support Austria-Hungary. Russia will jump in and support their Serbian allies, and France will jump in supporting their Russian allies, if you remember from that earlier map we looked at. And pretty soon, the entire continent will be engulfed in war. Now, we will get to that when we get to the next section, which I will post tomorrow. But that is all for today. Again, this was for Chapter 29.1, The Cause of World War I. I hope you enjoyed.